Welcome to Independent Voices. I'm your host, Adam Pyburn. Today, we'll start with a recap of local news in the Triangle. On Thursday, October 5th, a state of emergency was declared in Apex, North Carolina, as EQ, or Environmental Quality Company, that stores hazardous chemicals including chlorine, solvents, and paint, caught fire, resulting in massive explosions and contamination of the area. Around 17,000 people were forced to evacuate from their homes, and major highways were closed as plumes of toxic fumes spread across the area. Thursday, October 5th, hundreds of students in UNC Chapel Hill gathered to listen to speakers from Students for a Democratic Society, the Feminist Student Union, Student Action with Workers, and many others for a national day of action against war and occupation. The rally organizers faced extreme intimidation and harassment from the university officials for their message against ROTC and campus recruitment of students into the military. On the mornings of September 13th, 14th, and 15th, laborers of the Solid Waste Division in Raleigh, North Carolina, fought back against long-standing, unjust working conditions by way of unprecedented worker-initiated wildcat strikes. More than 80 out of 100 drivers and laborers refused to mount the trucks of the Solid Waste Service Department headquarters located at 400 West Peace Street. The workers' demands included no forced overtime, time and a half pay for voluntary overtime work, all temporary positions be made permanent, an end to harassment from management, and respect for workers' rights to organize and elect their own leaders. Raleigh is one of the fastest growing cities on the East Coast, adding over 5,000 homes this year alone. Yet despite this growth, Raleigh City Council cut $135,000 from the budget to get rid of 6 city worker positions. The city has implemented one-armed bandits, new automatic trucks that only need one worker to operate, causing increased stress, danger, and workload. In addition, in July, 32 extra tons of recyclable waste was collected as 7 new items were added to the list of recyclable materials.
We can't grow if you don't let us grow. Raleigh grow, and we know that we expanded out. We're doing Durham County. We're out in Raleigh. We're out to parts of Roseville. We're out in parts of Cary. We cover those areas. Those are big areas that you're trying to cover, that you're allowing to be annexed into a part of Raleigh, that the growth is here. Now, what about us? We want to grow too. Can you let us do that? Thank you very much.
Thank you for those comments.
We are asking for collective bargaining to meet with the city councils and all on a regular basis, and to cover some of the issues that we have that's going on now and the ones that occur in the future. So we would ask that we have completely cooperation from you all. We are willing to cooperate. We are here to bargain in good faith for the members of the ones that live in the community. We believe in supporting them, and we got support from them, from a lot of them. So we came to do a good job, determined to do a good job, but we like to be treated fair and be treated like human beings, because we worked in all type weather. Y'all know what kind of weather we work. You know what we do. We never fail to do our job, and we ask them that y'all take us I'm very considerate that we expect to be treated like the work we put out. And I want to give each and every one a chance to speak on them. But we definitely need to meet on a regular basis with the union and city councils, whoever, on y'all staff.
Okay, and Mr. Ledbetter, let me respond directly to your question about collective bargaining. My understanding, and the city attorney will correct me if I'm wrong, is that we cannot bargain in the sense of reaching a collective bargaining agreement. However, we can meet and confer. That is both individual members of the council, myself and the other councilors, as well as the manager. We have done that with leaders of the police and firefighters, and I'm certainly willing to do that with the leaders of the sanitation group, whether it's you or someone else. I know the manager is available to meet with you, and I suspect the other councilors are as well. So we can meet and confer in that sense and talk with you about the issues and try to get them resolved.
I would like to say, too, that with all of the complaints that routinely come in my emails and phone conversations about our garbage service, a vast majority of the people who are complaining are also complimenting the quality of our solid waste service employees. So it's obvious here that we have good people who are doing a very difficult job, and I would like to assure everyone that it's the consensus of this council that we're going to take good care of those people.
Well, thank you, Mr. Craven.
UE Local 150, the North Carolina Public Sector Workers Union, represents workers in 4 areas: Department of Health and Human Services, the University of North Carolina System, city workers, and private workers in auto and aerospace in eastern North Carolina. UE 150 has been meeting with Raleigh sanitation workers for over a year and has been organizing public sector workers since 1996. On Thursday, September 14th, more than half of the solid waste workforce attended the UE 150 union meeting at the Fruit of Labor Cultural Center in Raleigh, where they voted, signed up, and took an oath to join and build the union.
We'll keep recruiting. Tonight they voted to form a union and had enough people attending tonight's meeting to establish a charter for a local.
Workers have been working like horses, been feeding them like chickens.
Now has a list of grievances it wants addressed, including no forced overtime. They want to work no more than 10 hours a day.
A law passed in 1959, NC General Statute 9598, makes it illegal for the state, counties, cities, or any other political subdivisions of the state to enter into contracts or agreements with any labor unions or other bargaining agents. North Carolina is also the second least unionized state in the country.
North Carolina is only one of only two states in the entire United States where collective bargaining for public employees is explicitly banned by law. What's this mean to workers? What's this mean to workers? It means that when a caregiver at a state hospital is forced to work overtime against her will again and again, she can't negotiate a better schedule. It means that when a janitor at one of the state's universities is paid less than a living wage, he has no way to bargain a raise. It means that when a sanitation worker in the city of Charlotte is fired without just cause, he has no recourse to a negotiated remedy. Today, during International Human Rights Week, we are filing with the International Labor Organization in Geneva, an agency of the United Nations, a complaint alleging that the continuing denial of collective bargaining rights to tens of thousands of public employees in this state is a violation of their most basic human rights. This formal legal complaint, and we have copies here for the media and for our key allies in the labor movement. This complaint will be transmitted today to the ILO's Committee on the Freedom of Association. We are asking for an official investigation and ultimately for a finding that North Carolina fails to meet internationally recognized standards for workers' rights. Following this news conference, even as this complaint is being filed in Geneva, UE and its allies will go to the office of North Carolina Governor Mike Easley and serve him with a copy of this complaint.
The Raleigh sanitation workers' struggle for justice has been met with incredible outpouring of community support. Student groups, local churches, social justice activists, nonprofits, and small businesses have expressed solidarity with the workers' struggle.
We are so delighted that you decided to come out today to support and honor the Raleigh city workers, the sanitation workers who are making history here in Raleigh, making history here in North Carolina, making history in the South. Workers in Raleigh are saying we ain't taking it no more.
So I just want you to know that we realize that We need to have two things going, a grassroots movement and move forward in the 2007 General Assembly with a bill that we can hang our hats on for collective bargaining. The time is now for North Carolina to step up to the plate. We need collective bargaining. This is very important in North Carolina. We need to move forward because workers deserve the right to have collective bargaining. And without collective bargaining, remember, North Carolina is not a state that accepts collective bargaining. Collective bargaining is illegal in the state of North Carolina. So we must move forward with collective bargaining. We must in 2007, and we must hold our legislature accountable for collective bargaining. So we need to have one unified voice in 2007, and we must begin to lay the groundwork for collective bargaining.
All right.
We have become so desensitized, so far removed from the reality of what happens in our communities, to those that we relegate to the bottom of the totem pole, and that is a disgrace. The reason it is a disgrace is because we community are letting it be. Amen. But those of you who are here, we who are here are saying no, 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 no. When we had our sanitation workers on our talk show on WSHA last Saturday and Saturday before last, they shared with the community, 40,000 people listened to our station across this state. And they shared with the community something the community knew it needed to hear. And what we heard was that we have a director who's making $93,000 a year.
How much?
$93,000 per year. We have an assistant manager who is making $140,000 per year.
How much?
$140,000 per year annual salary. And a manager who is making $193,000 a year. But our workers are only making $20,000 per year.
How much?
$20,000 per year. If, the brother said, if they make 20. This is a disgrace to the capital city of a state. Because the capital city is supposed to be that one that gives leadership to the other cities in that given state. So when we look at what this city is doing, and don't tell me we don't have ownership in it, this is our capital city.
You have to evaluate how fair and just the society is on the basis of how they treat their sanitation workers.
That's right.
The people who pick up the trash. That should be the bottom line. People reach the boiling point, you know what the demands are, we got to get behind them. You got to make phone calls, you got to send letters, emails, you got to honk your horn every time you see a sanitation worker, you got to whistle, you got to put your fist up in the air and pump it, you got to come to city council meetings, you got to join committees, you got to do all of those things to be a part of this struggle. And brothers and sisters, we've got to respect the leadership of the workers.
That's right.
They made a decision to join a union, to come together. And they're fighting democratically to figure out how to do this thing. And it's our obligation to get behind them. right? They know what they're doing. They may make some missteps. We'll misstep with them.
That's right.
Right? But we have to respect their evaluation. And they have said on Friday that they are not satisfied with Allen and what he presented at that meeting. And that's why we're going to be at an informational picket on Monday morning, and we should be there. So we want everybody to be 12 noon.
And I just want to say one last thing. You know, folks have been saying, well, they work sanitation or they pick up garbage. We don't want to be treated like garbage. All honest work is honorable work. And I, as a woman, as an activist, as a woman worker, will stand next to any worker who works honest, works hard. The brothers and sisters who work for sanitation, street, or whatever deserve every amount of respect, and not they work here, but they do this, but. It is a role in the society as important, in fact, more important. You let that garbage sit up there and see what kind of health hazards and health issues that the city will come to. There's a decent, it is a dignified role. It is a role of respect and an important place in this society, and we stand with, behind, next to you, and for you. Thank you.
The Raleigh sanitation workers, along with community groups like Fight Imperialism Stand Together, Action for Community in Raleigh, Students for a Democratic Society, and Triangle Area Green Party, have engaged in community outreach by spreading the message of the workers throughout the city.
Pay up, Raleigh! Workers' rights are human rights. Justice for sanitation workers and all city workers. Call the mayor and city council and support the sanitation workers' demands. Pay up, Raleigh! Workers' rights are human rights. Justice for sanitation workers and all city workers. Call the mayor and city council. Pay up, Raleigh! Workers' rights are human rights. Justice for city workers and sanitation workers.
On Monday, September 25th, Raleigh solid waste workers launched a picket in front of City Hall.
Respect! Respect! What you want? Respect! What you want? Respect! 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 When you want it? Now! 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 Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! What do we want it? Now! Respect! What do we want? Respect! What do we want? Respect!
We're not asking for a lot, but we asking for respect. And for them to, when we make a choice of working overtime, you know, pay us for it.
Again, I want to reiterate what Brother Dennis State said, that we thank all the community folks and particularly the workers who have taken this courageous stand, but we will be having a community meeting of community supporters. Y'all know we got to build a community labor support movement, and we'll be having meetings, a summit, a conference, because we want your input. You too work somewhere, and you know other public service workers, so this summit or this conference, this speak out is going to be very important. I want to give you a phone number, and if you can write it down, if you call this number, it will give you updates and where we are in this struggle. The number is 876-7187. And when you call that number, this weekend, it will give you an update when the next community labor support meeting is going to be, as we try to organize a labor summit and conference on the whole question of workers in our community being understaffed, overworked, and underpaid, and how we're going to support these sanitation workers.
It is not lost upon our memory that in the winter and spring of 1968, the NAACP worked with Dr. Martin Luther King to secure better working conditions for sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee. honoring and reflecting upon that heritage is why we stand here today with the Raleigh sanitation workers, and we're glad to see the mayor standing with them and being here today. Now, we are dismayed to learn that for too many years, the city of Raleigh has fostered a work environment that has failed to adequately compensate workers for overtime, routinely sent out crews short-handed, and once aware of these and other abuses, has failed to take swift action. Even now, following the meeting with city officials on September the 22nd, there are still issues that remain unresolved, but it doesn't have to remain that way. We love our state, we love our state capital, and we desire to see this state lead in justice and in fairness. The NAACP believes in working families having dignity and fair playing field. We supported increasing the minimum wage because we believe this. We support workers' rights and collective bargaining because we believe this. And we support a living wage because we believe this. In a real sense, what the sanitation workers are raising is the cleanest and clearest public policy issue set before us. They don't mind working, they don't mind labor, they don't mind picking up garbage. They are simply saying, don't treat us as garbage and don't treat us as expendable. This is the moral issue.
Yeah, that's right.
Their work is skilled work. Their work is hazardous work. Their work is important work. And it must be dignified with decency in wages and in compensation.
Also, that we're making preparations to follow up with the mayor in terms of the meeting tomorrow. For folks in the community that have turned out, you're providing the inspiration to this fight. Is all one fight. As Reverend Barbara said today, this fight is a continuation of the freedom struggle that Dr. King basically was involved in Memphis in '68. We're going to continue this fight until we win. Particularly, we need everybody's support at next Tuesday's council meeting. Let's put that on our calendars for next week. But particularly, again, thank you. That's from the heart for all of you that came out today.
Get up, stand up, wake up, we'll be doing it. Oh, we're going to organize, organize, organize. We're going to organize, organize, organize. We've got to organize, organize, organize. Come on, let's organize, organize, organize. Not doing it for praise, glory, or fame. We're not doing it so others will know our name. We're doing it because we want to make it plain that we'll fight to make Allen do the right thing. Organize, organize, organize. We're going to organize, organize, organize. We've got to organize, organize, organize. We're going to organize, organize, organize. Come on, let's organize, organize, organize. We're going to organize, organize, organize. We've got to organize, organize, organize. Come on, let's organize, organize, organize. All right, come on, y'all.
Organize, recognize, realize, and at the same time, keep our eyes on the prize. One for all for one, common goal. We gon' take hold of the situation, no contemplation. The solutions, not discrimination throughout the nation, state, city, and and we can do this in the form of a rally. So if you're with this, put your fists and say organize, organize, say organize, 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 organize.